Okay, my cardboard friends, today I'm going to talk to you guys about cartoons, because I'm in the mood to do that for no particular reason.
Okay.
I don't know how to learn things yet.
My gosh, you dug us out so you could lecture us on something we don't even care about?
Maybe I did, but at least Ray had the decency not to tell me he didn't care.
Hey, buddy, you want to talk about cartoons? Huh? Do ya? You gonna say anything? Oh!
Now, shut up. I have a point to make.
Make this quick so we can all get on with our lives.
What lives? You were stuck in a Nintendo Entertainment System.
You put me there.
Yes, but only to teach you a lesson.
What lesson?
I'm going to talk about cartoons.
That's not a... Shadow. It's no use.
Cartoons are a whole nother universe with its own unique characters and locations and adventures that sometimes real life just can't replicate. Cartoons are wacky, unpredictable, and defy most laws of physics, but even with so much crazy off-the-wall adventures and unpredictability, cartoons still have a sort of undefined boundary that keeps things together. Can a cat lay on thin air without falling? Of course not. Well, maybe. I have seen cats do some crazy things. But no, physics doesn't allow things like this in real life. That's why this can be funny. But what if cats could always hover in cartoons? It wouldn't be out of the ordinary or strange at all. It would be the same as seeing a cat sleeping on the floor, and no offense to cats, but that's really not that fun to watch. That's the boundary that all cartoons have to stay entertaining. As crazy and gravity-defying as some cartoons can get, some amount of logic, realism, and physics must still apply for the physics jokes to be funny, and for stories to be intense or suspenseful.
Okay, we learned something. The end.
Not yet. Like I said, I have a point to all this.
The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, we know.
How did you know?
You pretty much told me in the last video.
No, I didn't.
You randomly brought up the show in the end of your last video with pretty much no reason or point. It was kind of obvious.
Nah, I'm pretty subtle about that stuff.
Dude, even I could pick up that hint. Although I think it's just my thing. I was the only one to get the hint that your next episode is going to be about Super Princess Peach for the DS.
Yeah, I don't even think I got that hint.
So you can see where I'm going with this. Almost every cartoon has a sort of boundary that stops it from getting too far gone. But every once in a while, you get that one that just says, you know what? Forget boundaries. We want to make a show where we can take our brains out of our heads, squeeze every last bit of creative juice out of them, make some kind of smoothie, and use whatever's in that juice to make a show with limitless possibilities, or whatever you make with brain smoothie stuff. A sort of brain milkshake. They either said that or they just didn't care that cartoons need boundaries, and I'm guessing it was the latter.
So just how does this show break boundaries? Take a look at any episode and you'll probably see why. Literally any episode, at least this cartoon was consistent. Let's jump in and look at a few scenes that say just about anything they want.
First, you have things that both follow logic and then don't at the same time. Oh sure, Sonic can launch Scratch and Grounder with a giant rubber band. I guess that can work in a cartoon. But where in the heck did you get a giant rubber band? You're in a laundromat. You can't just reach out of the screen and suddenly have an elastic catapult to launch your enemies.
Or maybe you can. No, just Curious George.
Here we have some mice. I'm not sure why they're really tiny, as opposed to the size of Sonic and Tails and most other animals, but I guess this happens in Sonic Land. So Robotnik uses an aging ray to make them old. That, I guess, can fit with cartoon logic.
4,062 grandchildren, and not one comes to visit.
Now that does not fit with any logic. How do you have 4,062 grandkids in less than 1 second? It's an aging ray, not a have giving birth over 4,000 times in a second ray. See, this doesn't even make sense in this show's own logic. Another example of smashing its own logic into shards that stab into your logical brain cells is this scene. Sonic and Tails and Eggman get turned into babies. Yeah, what the heck? It's pretty exciting, isn't it? This one is definitely in my top 5. Top 2. No, this one's my favorite. Definitely, serious. But seriously, on a quick side note, this show has a thing for having plots based on common odd obsessions known as fetishes. This show coincidentally has an episode for almost every single bizarre obsession you can think of. People becoming babies, people becoming fat, people becoming giant, people eating a lot, and people getting their feet tickled are just a few really well-known obsessions known as fetishes that this show has creepily often used as plot points. And let's not forget that the show is about anthropomorphic characters, which is another obsession that can get a bit creepy. The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, shaping the internet of today, one episode at a time. Don't let it near your kids. Anyway, back to the baby episode. This old lady just takes them into her house for some reason. Now, you would normally say taking kids that you find off the street into your house is kidnapping, in every meaning of the word, but hey, this is a cartoon. In many cases, laws and technicalities don't apply in cartoons, so I guess it's fine. Plenty of shows ignore things like that. Scratch and Grounder, Eggman's robots, have to try and get the kids for themselves. Now, being evil and all, and since there are apparently no laws, you would think that they would just take them, right? No, instead they disguise as police coming to take the kids, but their plans are foiled when the old lady asks to see their badges, which they of course don't have. So she kicks them out. Okay, so first the old lady kidnaps them, but I guess it's okay, because there's no laws or something, so she's supposed to be a good person. But then the cartoon changes its own logic by saying, oh wait, but there are laws and police and technicalities that this old lady asks for their badges, so kidnapping her must be outlawed, yet she's still supposed to be the good guy, good girl, good old lady here. So this show really doesn't have boundaries for itself. Sometimes it seems to set some rules, but then quickly cancels them out, as you can see here. Most likely because the writers didn't care, and as a result, you can see that this cartoon is aimed singularly at kids. But like really young kids. Kids who are too young to really notice random rubber bands out of nowhere, or question logic or laws or what aging rays can do. And I mean, it's fine to have a show aimed towards kids, totally fine, absolutely. But this show isn't just aimed towards kids, its logic is so absent that it almost seems to be specifically not for anyone else. The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, a show for kids. No really, adults, leave the room now. That's not to say that older kids and adults don't like this show, as it actually has a fan base, but we'll get to that in a minute. The logic in the show is contradicting itself left and right, but that's only scratching the surface. Let's turn to the boundaries of physics in the show, or the lack of boundaries, I should say. You get it? Cause there are none.
Check it out! Turbo time!
I know you've all probably heard of this scene if you've heard anything about reviews of this show, but it's a prime example of this show's sense. I mean not sense. Scratch and Grounder are robots, metal robots, but as in many cartoons, we often see them or their body parts shape-shifting or changing for jokes and stuff. That's fine in the realms of cartoon logic, I suppose. Look, his tread turned into a foot because he stubbed his toe. Get it? Yeah, very good one. Then you have this scene where he creates a woman, or whatever this thing is, to attract Sonic over to a trap. If that doesn't say there are no rules to life anymore, so go eat an airplane because it's just no use, then I don't know what does. If you want to change something into a foot for a joke, fine. If you want to turn your hand into a pumpkin, that's really odd, but okay, fine. Maybe in cartoon logic, that can make sense that you would be programmed to be able to turn your hand into a pumpkin. Sure, why a pumpkin? Who gives a flying pig? But at least it can be doable. But a woman? If you have the ability to turn you or your hand into a woman, then all heck breaks loose. The possibilities are endless. Why not turn your hand into Tails to trick Sonic? Why not turn your hand into a gun? I'm sure that's easier to do than turning your hand into a woman, so I'm sure a gun is perfectly doable. Or why not a sword? Or another Sonic to combat the real Sonic? Or a bunch of money to buy anything you want to kill Sonic? A doomsday device to blow up the world? Or heck, why not just make a device that when turned on, just instantly kills Sonic? Call it like the Sonic Killer 2000 something, I don't care. It doesn't even matter what you make, because when you jump all the way to creating life itself in the form of a woman attached to your very hand, then why would you spend so much time on doing anything other than what I just said? My only thought is everybody in this show is just too dumb to think of doing that, and not just Scratch and Grounder. I mean everyone. Look here, Sonic is disguised as a doctor to trick the two robots. It seems to work. They don't seem to know it's Sonic, and they listen to whatever he says even though they're in the middle of trying to catch Sonic. That's pure stupidity, but again, I guess that can work in a cartoon. They can be that dumb and easily sidetracked, but the part that I don't get is this. Sonic now has complete control over them. If he told them to jump in a lake and fry their circuits, they would. But instead of using his power of disguise, he gets Tails to bring a crane, to make a teeter-totter, to launch some anvils at them, to make them fall in a hole. Where do I even start? Why not just put them in a cage while they're sitting there with their eyes shut? If you have a crane, why not just pick them up and put them in the hole? If you are going to launch anvils at them, why not launch 100 at them to defeat them for good? If you're going to throw them in a hole, why not just tell them to go into the hole themselves? They're clearly gonna listen to you. And lastly, why put them in a hole at all, since they're just gonna get out in the very next scene? Nobody in this show has a sliver of brain in their head. Now, I would have to guess that the writer had to think up some way to waste time, since there was a whole 20 minutes to use up. So instead of taking the simple, smart way to trick the robots, they use the long, random, nonsensical way of doing it, but without making it so crazy and off the wall that it would be really entertaining. They always make things random and without logic, but then they always have enough logic so the show isn't insane or mindless as a show like Ren and Stimpy. A show that is really dumb and mindless, but also in kind of a smart way that really messes with your brain. Overall, this makes this Sonic cartoon more baffling than entertaining. In some ways, this show messes with your brain more than any other cartoon I've seen. By constantly putting down rules and then just breaking them both in logic and in physics, you feel like you could expect what's coming, but then you never really do. I mean, you always know Scratch and Grounder are going to make a trap for Sonic, and it's always going to backfire, but just how and why is anybody's guess. When I watch the show, I have so many things that I want to question, and so many things that just make me want to yell, "What the heck," about, but it all happens so fast and so often that by the end of the show, you just sit back and say, forget it. In the words of Silver, it's just no use pointing out anything because everything you point out is what the show is. The show is crazy, so pointing out the crazy is just like pointing out the show. Like saying, hey, there's a cat sleeping. Who cares? Sleeping is normal. Just like this show doing nonsense is normal. And I guess once you understand that, the show can be watchable in a sort of casual way rather than a confusing way. And now, some highlights from the adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog.
I'm Mayor Knockwurst.
Boy, am I tired of killing time doing CrossFit puzzles. Deadly booby traps.
Will my life be at stake? More daring than myself.
Turn left. 12 mobilometers straight ahead.
I really don't understand half of what this show says.
Okay, so I've gone on a long time about how the show is ridiculous, has no boundaries, and is basically really tough to explain. But believe it or not, there are some things that the show did right, or at least were done entertaining.
First, this show is about Sonic and Tails against Robotnik and his robots, and they actually did a fair job of making Tails and Sonic seem like good friends. They seem like they've been through a lot with each other, and even though it may be dumb luck by the writers, when they talk to each other it seems pretty natural at times, and I can see why there is a solid chunk of people who like this show because of that. I mean, it's not really anything that would make the show much better, but in some ways it seems like they at least tried, to some extent, to make it seem like they were good pals. They get along well, but sometimes they even throw in an episode where they maybe don't get along perfectly, which, as crazy as it sounds in this show, does develop them as characters. Lots of the show's fans say that Sonic and Tails are really the only reason they watch the show in the first place, and yeah, I can actually understand that quite a bit. Another thing about this show that I think is done really well and made it mildly enjoyable was Robotnik. As a villain, he's more pathetic than in Sonic Boom, but his script and delivery are just so entertaining. He's the only person with a lick of sense in this show, and that, mixed with the enjoyability of his performance, actually gives you mixed impressions.
Good point. Oh, all right. I'm just a generous old softy.
I actually found myself wanting him to win at times. There were periods where I felt I could understand why he wanted to capture Sonic. If I got super bored of seeing Scratch and Grounder lose time and time again in the way that made no sense whatsoever, I'll admit I wanted just for once to have Robotnik finally win. But did he ever win? No, we had to wait until Sonic Boom for him to finally beat Sonic, and it was in a dance-off. Yeah. And then there's his insults, which feel like they should be censored.
You're all incompetent! That heinous hedgehog! That sickening little high-speed hedgehog! You horrible hedgehog! You two idiots! That's idiotic! You're stupid, wrinkled old bag of bones! You monkey wrench!
I would say that there is one last part about this show that I looked forward to, the infamous Sonic Says. This was a segment where Sonic takes time to give the viewers important life lessons at the end of each episode. Let's check some out.
Remember, always wear your seatbelt.
Yay! They crashed and died! Everybody's cheering because they crashed and died, and it's good.
Every year, some ignorant kid takes a ride in a clothes dryer just like this one.
Oh, so one kid every year does that? Just one? That's less often than people going out in thunderstorms and getting struck by lightning. It's less often than people getting attacked by wild deer. I mean, sure, don't go in the dryer, but when it really comes down to it, is the issue that happens only once a year and they never even said kills people actually deserve an episode rather than anything else?
Hey kids, there's nothing more cool than winning a shiny trophy, but as fun as it is, it's also a big responsibility. Every 100 years, a trophy just like this one falls off its shelf and some stupid, irresponsible kid gets a big lump on his head. So if you know what's good for you, you'll follow this rule. Keep your possessions down low, so you know it won't go and fall on your toe. Now you know, and this rap was so cool.
Uh-oh, I think I'm lost. Get out! I want to call home. The number? Thanks, Sonic.
Hold on, Sonic, you know Tails is lost in an evil forest filled with man-eating trees, and you just tell him his home phone number and leave? What the heck is wrong with you? You could at least save him or lead him to safety. And you know, I guess telling him his home number would be helpful. That is, if he had a home. You and Tails just wander around. You don't have a home. And even if you did, you're not even there. You're here, and I don't think this is your home. This next one is hilarious, but especially in today's world.
Jump, computer, stop beeping!
Hold on, Tails.
First off, he's just sitting in the middle of nowhere with a desktop PC without any power. No wonder it won't work. Second, he's like an old woman screaming at her PC. Look, he's gonna smack it. Jeez. To be fair, this was the early 90s, and yeah, browsing the internet back then was just about that frustrating.
Remember what I told you.
Oh, yeah! Never open the door for anybody you don't know when you're home alone or your parents are busy.
Hold on, Sonic, you're there again. He's not home alone, and the fact that you would bring up his parents who are supposedly dead or just completely missing is kind of a low blow.
We're surrounded, Sonic. Call 911.
No way, Tails. This is nothing. 911 is for real emergencies.
Now, normally I would say, hey, Sonic, you're doing it again. Tails is being attacked by 2 robots that want to kill him. This is kind of an ideal time to call the police. But in this case, yeah, they actually can't really do anything. So, yeah, I guess you're safe.
911, what is your emergency?
Yeah, I'm at the non-specific famous football stadium where thousands of people are collected into one building, providing a perfect opportunity for a terrorist attack, and there's these 2 guys trying to place bombs in the lobby.
Can you provide a rough description of the men?
Well, one of them is a chicken, the other is like a green tank thing.
Oh, yeah, don't worry about them. They can't do crud.
Well, that's just about all I have to say about this show. It feels really crazy and lazy. I'm a poet. But at the same time, I can see why it has an audience.
When it comes to traditional cartoon antics and tricks, this cartoon breaks all the rules, and for someone looking for substance, I don't think it offers very much. If you're like me and you like to sit down and watch cartoons like Mario or Zelda just to make fun of them, you'll have so much to point out and question that it'll keep you occupied for a long time. Like I said before, if you watch the show for Sonic and Tails being friends or for Robotnik's rants, I guess I can get behind that too. But overall, even those who love the show can agree, it is pretty messed up sometimes. I guess I like this show if I have someone to make fun of it with, but by myself I could really care less, and the 150 plus episodes that are about 20 minutes each kind of can make you get sick of it after a while.
So that's my rant. Okay, you guys can go back to your lives now, and I'm gonna go watch cartoons, because what else am I gonna do?
Finally! So, how do we get back to our lives when we can't move? Why did you even leave to watch TV? Your TV's right here! Hey, what is up guys? Peter here. Thanks a ton for watching this video. I would like to say that these videos are very difficult to make. They take a lot of editing, a lot of filming, a lot of recording, and everything like that. So I really appreciate all the feedback that you guys have been giving me. The What's Up With series has been really well received so far, and I just want to give you guys a big shout out for that. Thanks so much. They are a lot of fun to make. Now, I don't want to sound like a noob, but it helps me out a ton if you would like this video. Comment, tell me how I can improve if you thought I need improvements. And if you haven't subscribed, you may want to. I do videos like this almost every single day. If you want to watch another of these videos, go ahead and click those videos that are playing right in front of you. Just click on the annotations. I was nice enough to put those there to make things really easy for you guys. You're welcome, I know. Also, if you like this music, you may want to click on the annotation to the left of the screen, which will lead you to DJ BassFox28's channel. He made this music and most music that I use in my channel, so go ahead and click there to check him out. As always, I just thank you a ton for watching to the end of the video. Have yourselves a wonderful day.